before we get into that next game, I'm going to send you a screenshot of the optimal settings from how I have everything configured on my end. This video is brought to you by Cyanide Esports Professional Coaching, the support of awesome viewers like you. For details on coaching, the community, and other ways to support the channel, please check out the description down below. And do consider liking and subscribing because that stuff really does help us out. Other than that, hope you enjoy. So what I have here, this is in the advanced tab. You want to have, I think a lot of people recommend the render scale. You should put it 75%, but it makes it look a little weird. So I'd always recommend 100%. You want to keep things looking as clear and distinct as possible so it's easier to see your targets. Texture filtering, that can be left on low. Local fog detail, you want low. If you could turn it off, that'd be the best. You don't want extra nonsense on the screen getting in your way. Reflections you don't need. It's not like in Overwatch you can't really see reflections of stuff as they're coming around corners. Shadow detail, you do want shadows because you can occasionally see stuff that's above you, but we can put that on low. You don't need it to have any be any higher than that. Model detail low, effects detail low, lighting quality also low. Anti-alias should be low. If you turn it off, some things get really jagged. So that affects how smooth the character models in the environment will look. And then refraction quality, I would also have on low. Screenshot resolutions, whatever you want. Local reflections and ambient occlusion you can leave off. So that's the majority of the important settings there. Now, in this top section, at the top, we've got display mode. Full screen allows the game to run with the least amount of interruption and or hitching and stuttering. So I would always recommend running in full screen. And then resolution, you want to set to whatever the native resolution of your monitor is. But then you see the second number after my resolution. So I have 1920 by 1080. My monitor is just HD here. You want to make sure that if you have a higher refresh rate, you want to have whatever the highest number is in this list. So if your game only shows that you have up to 60, that's fine. You select 60. If you have a monitor that does a higher frame rate, which will allow you to see higher frames per second, you want to select the highest possible. And then in these settings here, triple buffering should be kept off, and reduced buffering should be kept on. And this is where things get a little complicated. If you ever load into a map where it seems like it's running just a little worse than it normally does, if you go into your video settings and you turn off reduced buffering, hit apply, and then turn on reduced buffering and hit apply, you can sometimes get another 20, 30 FPS. So that can help if you ever feel like the game is unusually laggy or stuttery. Frame rate cap, I have mine left unlimited because... So I've read a lot about this stuff, and at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who say stuff both ways about what you should do, whether you should have the frame rate capped to exactly what your monitor's frame rate is, or if you should just have it be as high as possible to allow... And here's the pros and cons. Theoretically, if you have an unlimited frame rate or just as high as possible, the game has more instances per second where it can react to an input from you. So theoretically, there's less lag, but it will also take a higher or harder toll on your computer's resources because it's rendering all of these extra frames that aren't actually going to get displayed. So especially on a laptop, if you're doing all of this extra processing, it can end up slowing down your computer as it heats up, and then you'll end up getting stuttering and other issues too. So keeping your computer cool, especially on a laptop, is a huge deal to make sure that you have a stable experience. D.Va is an enforcer. So what that means is she's an enforcer and an enabler. She enforces her team's front line by allowing them to play more aggressively without being punished for it. But then she also enables her team to be able to make pushes forward. And if someone tries to dive or come into that space, let's say a tracer dives on the back line, like tries to come after the supports, you have to go back and enforce that space that your team has already taken. Go in and reclaim that space, establish your presence there, because of D.Va, your team can occupy a much larger space than with just a Reinhardt and a Zarya because you have D.Va's mobility. So if you're watching what I'm doing here, I'm going to be trying to stay at the front of my team where I can absorb damage, and if I see my team going to try and come through here, I'm going to try and enable this movement here and make sure that there's nothing coming around on us either, like this Ashe. And that's something that I saw you doing very well, which was paying attention to people making those moves on your team, which is great because that's really hard to teach someone. So I see my Genji was going after the Hanzo. I'm going to go with them and help enable that push. And now I'm just going to reset back to my neutral position, which is just kind of hanging out with my team. I'm not making any moves on anyone. I'm just sort of sitting here. I don't need to go in after them. I'm going to stay here with my team. And, yep, see, we got stuff coming from another angle. If I'd gone after that Sigma, my backline might be struggling with this Winston right now, but I'm here to help out. And when I know someone is low, that's when I'm going to commit my boost. But otherwise, I'm maintaining this kind of neutral position here with my team. Now I can move up here as the majority of my team is already up this far forward. But again, I'm not trying to do anything on my own right now. I'm trying to see where my team is and stay with them. So my ball, okay, we're in. I'm going in. I saw that someone's low, but I'm not going to chase them. I want to stay with my team right here. I'm going to help. Nope. They boot me back into it. Okay. You know, even if you play everything completely right, depending on how they decide to use their ultimates, there's only so much you can do. I want to be as far forward as I can so I can deal damage, but also be in position to support my teammates. And I don't want to be so far forward that I'm going to get hooked or take unnecessary damage and feed. That's fine. We're just going to wait this out, and I might use my ult to help us get in here. Okay, my ball's going in. I'm just going to send that in and see if he can take advantage of it. So we have 2 picks now. We want to just move in. You never want to be the one to get hooked. You always want to let your teammate get hooked and make sure you're in position and ready to support your teammate. Okay, I'm just always coming back to sort of this neutral middle position where I'll be able to cover the most of my team. Okay, we don't want to wake that up. We do need to kill it, but it's more important for us to... Okay, that was a mistake. He stunned it right as I was trying to send it. That was a misplay on my part. And we're out of this now. I really shouldn't have even tried to fly away. I just want to reset and die as quickly as possible. There's someone up top. So, again, all it takes is a little bit of damage and focus on the Tracer to prevent her from coming in and taking advantage of my team. But also, I don't want to be taking that 1v1. I need to be here with my team. I shouldn't be going after that, Lucio. I'm not nearly warmed up enough to do that, and I wouldn't expect you to be able to do something like that either. You should always be focusing on the tanks, or whatever the easiest target is to do the most damage. There we go. That's what we needed. Okay, we have to reset this now that both our tanks are dead. Hurting yourself and your chances are, if you don't get full regroups like what this Rein is doing before we're all ready to go, if he gets himself killed early, we're in a really bad spot. Please. Okay, come on. That's gotta be it. Okay. Victory. So you saw when I went after that Ashe who was up above us and behind as we're moving in. I want to talk about that because it's kind of contradictory to what I'm telling you, but I want to explain why I did that rather than just staying with my team. You saw how quickly I went in after that and then still came back to my team and was ready to contribute. If I hadn't been able to get that kill that quickly, then the correct move would have been for me to simply have just tried to knock her down. So maybe if you know that you're not as accurate or not having a good day, all you need to do is try and get her out of that really powerful position and force her back, or force her to go, waste 5-10 seconds to go get a health pack or something, and then go back to your team, because you're so much more useful for your team when you're there in the middle of the fight. Just being there with the Reinhardt. Now Zarya can't use her ultimate freely. Tracer can't use her ultimate freely. Roadhog's hooks won't get value because you'll be able to matrix. It forces the entire enemy team to play a lot more defensively and passively. But if you're not there, immediately Zarya goes, oh, well, I guess I can ult now and get a team wipe. Same thing with Hanzo and any other ult that D.Va could deter or eat.